My name is Richard Langston. If you're watching this video, you're probably looking for something, a truth, a wake-up call, or maybe a glimmer of hope. And I want you to know, I am not a pastor nor a prophet. I was just a man who thought he had it all, until the day I died. That day, the Colorado sky was clear. I was on a flight to Silicon Valley to close a big deal. Everything is perfect. Lucrative contract, reputable partner, private jet, hot espresso in hand. I sat in the front seat of the plane, rereading some investment documents on my iPad. It was the kind of day I once considered the pinnacle of success, a day like any other day for a millionaire. But then, in just a split second, everything fell apart. I remember that feeling very clearly. A whooshing sound like the sound of an engine choking. Next was a strong shaking. Then an alarm sounded continuously in the cockpit. The pilot shouted something that I couldn't hear clearly. The entire fuselage tilted to the left, then plummeted like a stone falling freely from a cliff. Do you know what the strange thing is? I'm not panicking. Don't scream, don't cry. In the last moments, I just felt a big void in my heart. A question pops up like an echo. Is all the things I pursue really worth it? Then, everything went dark. It was as if I was being sucked into space. No more body sensations, no more sounds. There is only absolute silence. But that's not the end. I began to realize I was drifting, looking down at the crushed plain among the red rock mountains. I clearly saw my body lying motionless, my seatbelt torn, my shirt soaked in blood. I saw rescue workers running, shouting to each other. One person shouted loudly, "There is no pulse! The heart has stopped!" That person is me. I'm dead. Exactly in 7 minutes. But I don't feel afraid. Instead, there was a strange feeling, gentle, quiet, and something very real, more real than any financial transaction I had ever signed. As if there was something more important waiting for me to discover. And then, I heard a voice, very clear, but not coming from the ears. It echoed in my mind. "Richard, come here." Just those 4 words, but they hold more power than anything I've ever known. I don't step. I was pulled, light as wind, fast as lightning. I don't know where I will go, but I know for sure everything is about to change. Forever. I can't describe exactly where I went because it was unlike any other place on earth. There are no houses, no roads, no people. But I know one thing for sure. I am in a form of truth, an endless space filled with light, not dazzling, but warm and gentle like your mother's arms when you were a child. I don't have a body, but I still feel. No more pain, no more fear. All worries, plans, contracts, stock indexes disappear, lightweight. I hear the sound, but it's not like the sound you hear with your ears. That's thousands, maybe millions of voices singing together like a living symphony. No instruments, no background music, just a human voice, but not like a human voice. Each sound was like a wave of emotion passing through me. Peace, love, forgiveness. I remember thinking, am I dead? Is this heaven? And then, that person appeared. No introduction needed. I knew immediately it was Jesus, not through images I've seen in paintings or movies, but from his eyes. There is not an iota of judgment in it. There was just such deep understanding and love that it made me cry. He looked at me as if he had known me since I was created, had been there all those years I chased after money, fame, and what the world considered success. I didn't have time to ask anything. I don't even need to ask. Jesus took my hand, not a physical one, but a feeling of connection, strong, so real I could touch it. And then, the scenery changed. We are floating above the earth. I see everything, every mountain, every city, every ocean. Everything seems to be alive and breathing. But then I saw movement. A change began to spread. At first, there were familiar images, people going to work, children going to school, busy traffic. But just a few seconds later, everything turned to chaos. I saw large protests breaking out in many cities in America. Police, mobs, violence. I see financial indexes glowing red, bank collapse. The family lost their home. People lined up asking for food. It's no longer about movies or news. It's a real world, and it's getting closer. I turned to look at Jesus, and he pointed to a bright spot in the midst of the chaos. A man was walking onto a large stage in the middle of a crowded square. I immediately recognized him, Elon Musk. He stood very firmly, very confidently. Behind him is a giant LED screen showing images of despair, war, poverty, medical crisis. Then Elon raised his hand, holding a small, sparkling object like a piece of glass. It was a chip. "This is the future," he said. "With this technology, we won't need cash. We won't need paperwork. We won't need to fear information theft. We will be connected. We will be safe." The crowd burst into cheers. I can't help but admit, it sounds very convincing. If I were alive, I'd probably agree. Who doesn't want a smart, convenient, and effective solution? But Jesus looked at me, his voice sad. "This is how it begins." Right after that, I saw pictures of the first people receiving the chip. They just need to put their hand through the scanner to pay, open the door, receive medicine at the hospital, and log into everything without a password. Easy, effective. And then, I started to notice a change in them. Their eyes gradually turned cold. They no longer pray, no more searching for the divine. They live like precision, but soulless, machines. I turned to Jesus. Why did they accept it? Why didn't anyone see the danger? He replied, "Because they are looking for answers in people, not in me. They are so desperate for solutions that they are willing to give up their souls in exchange for comfort." I shivered, because I understand that psychology well. I've lived my whole life in it, running after the so-called simplification of life, then exchanging your inner freedom for technology, for control, for external things. Then I saw another image, Donald Trump, also on a big stage. He is strong and full of spirit. "America will return to leadership," he shouted. And people believe it. They welcome the strong decisions, including a new decree. All citizens must use chips to work, transact, and receive medical treatment. At first it was voluntary. Then it is mandatory. I see families divided. A mother prayed, refusing to accept the chip. Her child begged, "Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, please get the chip implanted so I can go back to school." I saw my husband being taken out of the house in the middle of the night for not complying with orders. I saw the church was closed. A pastor stood and preached that chips were a gift from God. But another person, with a painful expression, silently retreated into the deep forest. I asked Jesus, "So who will still believe in you?" He replied, "There will be. A few, they will be hungry, they will suffer, but I will protect them. They are the ones who will not be deceived by false glory." At that moment, I felt something strange. In a series of gloomy images, I saw a small village in the middle of mountains and forests. Light surrounded them. The people lived simply, growing vegetables, raising chickens, and praying every night. I see children smiling, even without modern toys. They don't have chips, but they have peace. I turned to Jesus. "Is this a choice?" The person nodded. "One side is comfort and control. One side is truth and freedom. But people must choose. And you, Richard, must tell them." I can't answer. I just know that tears keep falling, not because of fear, but because of pain. When we realize we are sacrificing the most sacred thing we have, the ability to feel God's presence, in exchange for a few minutes of material convenience. I don't know where you are in life. Maybe you're chasing success, like I did. Maybe you are tired and confused in this world full of noise. But if you are hearing these words, please listen honestly. Don't miss the divine thing that is knocking on your heart's door. Because at some point, if you're not vigilant, you may no longer hear that call, and that is the biggest loss. I know at this point you may be feeling something stirring in your heart. It could be curiosity, it could be worry, it could also be some fragile hope that is being awakened. I understand that feeling because I myself once stood on that line, between doubt and trust, between confusion and peace. After God showed me what was happening in the world, I thought I knew it all, but I'm wrong. What He showed me after that truly changed the way I looked at life, about people, and about myself. I was taken to another place. No more chaotic cities, no more riotous crowds. Before my eyes is a quiet, mountainous area. Green hills covered with mist. Simple wooden houses hidden among pine forests. There are no signs, no technology, no chips, no surveillance cameras. It's a small community. They live almost isolated from the outside world. I saw men building houses, women washing vegetables by the stream, children running everywhere with laughter echoing throughout the forest. But the special thing is, I feel something very strong surrounding them, a deep peace, not coming from material conditions, but coming from connection with the divine. I asked God, who are they? He replied, these are the people who rejected the sign of darkness. They chose me, even at the cost of everything. I was silent for a long time, because I understand that choice is not easy. How can one leave the city, the job, the bank account, all the stability, just because of an inner calling? How can a father watch his child go hungry and still have the courage to keep his faith and refuse the system that controls everything? How can a mother pray at every meal, knowing that the store down the street won't sell it to her without the chip? But then I saw something strange happen. A woman knelt down to pray next to the barren land, her hand pressed to the ground, and then, from that very place, tiny green shoots began to sprout. The tree grows faster than usual, lush as if by magic. I saw a thirsty child running to the stream, but the stream had dried up. The father then knelt down, clasped his hands, and prayed. And then, from the dry stone nearby, a small stream of water began to leak out. God looked at me and said, I don't promise to make their lives easy, but I promise they will not be abandoned. At that moment, I suddenly remembered my previous life. Large villas, luxurious meals, million-dollar projects. But I have never felt as peaceful as when I stood in the middle of that small village. No one has much money, but they have each other. They have faith. And they had the presence of something that had taken me so long to recognize, real life. I saw them meeting in the evening. No lights, just candlelight and moonlight. They sing, pray, and tell stories to each other. There was crying, there was laughter, there were old people trembling and holding hands. There was a baby sitting in his mother's lap, closing his eyes and listening as if feeling the sacredness creeping into every breath. I asked God, how can they survive when the world out there is hunting them? The person pointed toward the forest. I saw figures dressed in black, armed, walking across the forest boundary into the village. But as they approached, a wall of light appeared between them and the village. They couldn't see anything. A soldier raised his gun, but the bright light was so strong that he had to close his eyes and turn away. Then they all retreated, confused as if they had encountered something they could not explain. I saw angels, tall, majestic, standing guard around the village. Their faces were bright, but their eyes were as sharp as swords. I understood then, this was a promise fulfilled. God does not abandon those who put their trust in Him. And then, I was shown something more heartbreaking. I turned back to look at the outside world. I see cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. Now, lifeless concrete blocks. People move like robots. No one talked. No one laughed. They pay by raising their hand for the chip light scanner. Even children have chips on their foreheads. I saw a little girl holding a doll, her face blank, expressionless. I looked into her eyes and realized the soul was gone. I saw churches still operating, but inside they were just empty shows. The pastor preaches about love, about obedience, but no one really listens, including themselves. There is no longer God's presence. Those who accepted that sign were no longer able to perceive Him. I asked God, why can't they come back? He answered gently but firmly. Because that sign was more than technology. It was a spiritual covenant. When they chose it, they agreed to give up their choice. They no longer heard me. I stood there, feeling like my chest was being squeezed. I wanted to scream at them, shake them awake, tell them they were wrong, but they can no longer hear. It's not that their ears don't listen, it's that their hearts are closed. I saw a father arrested right in front of his house. The soldiers didn't need to say much. He doesn't have the chip. That's enough to get detained. His wife hugged the children and cried silently. A red symbol was painted on their door, as a sign of rejection from the system. I asked God, is there still hope? The person nodded. There is, but not much. Then he looked straight at me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, you saw everything. Now you must tell them, before it's too late. I woke up in the hospital. The nurse next to me almost screamed when I opened my eyes. The doctor said I was clinically dead for 7 minutes and no one thought I would wake up. But I know, I didn't come back to continue being a millionaire. I'm back to tell this story again, to you. And now I only have one thing to say to you. Don't wait until it's too late. You don't need to leave the city. You don't need to give up everything. But you need to listen again. Listen to the silent call you once heard in your heart. The feeling when you are alone and feel loved. That's where it all really begins. This world is changing very quickly. And not all change is progress. Sometimes, what is labeled a solution is actually a trap. Keep a quiet place for yourself where you can hear the voice of truth. I'm not telling you to believe me. I just hope you don't miss it. Because once your heart can no longer hear, not even light can enter. But right now, if you're still reading this, I believe, that door hasn't closed yet. And that's why I tell you this story.